Morning, Pastor Steve here. Proverbs 19:17 and Luke 14:13 and 14. Proverbs 19 says, "Whoever is kind to the poor lends to the Lord, and he will reward them for what they've done." Luke 14:13 and 14. "When you give a feast, invite the poor, the crippled, the lame, the blind, and you'll be blessed. They can't repay you. You will be repaid at the resurrection of the just." Story comes to mind. Years ago, a man moved from Europe to an area in Maine, central Maine, to try to make a life here. His dream was to have a department store with fair prices and good merchandise. Tried to borrow some money to get going and was having a hard time. Well, a man in the community who was doing very well financially at the time loaned him the money, and over time, of course, the store owner paid it off. Now, I heard this from my dear friend Richard, whose father was the man who loaned the money. Years passed, and the man who loaned the money had a family, and they fell on hard times. Business was not good, and they were not very wealthy. It was time to go back to school one year, and Dad hoped to get them some clothing, but as he shopped in the store, everything just seemed to be out of reach for his means. As they were leaving the store, the owner saw them and was happy to see them, and he asked the young boy, Richard, probably 8 or 9 at the time, "So, are you getting school clothes?" And Richard looked up and said, "No, Dad can't afford them." The store owner beckoned to a clerk and said, "I want this family outfitted for school with 2 outfits each. Get them school supplies, everything they might need, and I'll pay the bill." This story is the one I tell employees of that store, though the original Mr. Rennie is gone, because I want them to know that 50 years later, Mr. Knox's son remembered and shared that wonderful tale. And I'm gratified when they say his sons follow in his footsteps. Listen, whoever is kind to the poor lends to the Lord, and he will reward them for what they've done. There is a bigger reward than school clothes that will come when God repays. When you help those in need, they can't pay you back, but God will pick up their bill. You ponder that, Pastor Steve.